Welcome to Game Changers Live from Miami, Florida. My name is Sergio Tigera. I'm your host. And each and every week, we bring you someone who has been a game changer in their field and who's touched the lives of thousands to get their perspective on their journey, their mindset, their struggles and successes so that we can inspire you on your journey. So let's get started right now. And welcome to Game Changers Live. You can catch this in every episode on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, LinkedIn, YouTube, or wherever you catch your podcasts. You can hit that subscribe button and catch leaders who have been game changers in their field and impacted the lives of thousands. We're going to get their perspective on their journey, their successes, so we can inspire you on your journey. So my guest today is a hometown private chef, Mr. Daniel Bouza, who has been all around the world, providing some amazing culinary experiences to a lot of people. And he's doing some exciting things here in the South Florida area. And so we want to have him on the show. What's going on, Daniel? How are you?
How are you? Everything good. Everything great.
Cool. So as you can see, he's a private chef. He's a co-founder of an exciting new product called the Barrel. So if you're a foodie out there, you're an outdoor cooker, you know, you're gonna like this product. And he was a former chef at Pokeball, Nobu, and Makoto. So, dude, tell me about your experience here. So, were you always a fan of cooking, or did you have a different direction in life, you know, prior to all this?
Both. You know, my father was a little strict growing up, and I think in order to keep us away from just watching TV all the time, he said when I was 10 and my brother was 9. One of you has to do the dishes while the other one, you know, do the dishes and throw out the trash while the other one cooks with your mom. Now, honestly, it really wasn't cooking, but just to not be in front of a TV, we're in the kitchen watching mom cook all the time. Nice. It was really cool. And I've always loved it ever since. You know, I went to high school down here in South Florida at Belen, and then I graduated. And of course, you graduate and, you know, I wanted to be a chef, but deep down inside, you know, you're very influenced when you're around 17, 18 years old, when, you know, everybody's telling you why you're going to work when everyone else is off, and why you're going to make $8 an hour somewhere. So of course that played a toll, and my college was paid for. So I said, you know what, I'm going to go to college. I went to FIU, graduated in 3.5 years, but I graduated with a finance degree. And then I started working for a civil engineering company, was there for about 6 years. And then in 2008, when the market took a you know what, I decided to pick up and take off and go pursue my dream of becoming a chef. You know, it was kind of an easy decision because living down here in Florida, you know, all of your friends are making $1,000 a week, spending $1,200 a weekend. So it's one of those where you're chasing your own tail. So I said, let me go chase my dream, and I took off.
So I mean, that's a drastic change, because you go to FIU, you get your finance degree. You're working, you know, you got a bit of a steady job. I mean, of course, you know, the market tanks, but you decide to go become a chef, which people may say, are you crazy? You're just going to go to New York and start, you know, culinary school?
Yeah. You go from making quite a bit of money to working for free, actually, you know, paying your dues.
Yeah.
I went to culinary school, and I went to ICE, this Institute of Culinary Education, and they only accepted 15 students a year at the time. I got denied like 45 days in a row, something along those lines. And, you know, just one day out of left field, the lady called me and said, look, somebody canceled. If you could be here in 11 days, you're in. So I picked up. The next day I flew to New York City by myself. Didn't know one person up there.
But you were you single at the time?
I was single, just 2 suitcases and myself. Okay. So
nice.
Picked up, left, and then went to culinary school. Oh, I spent 10 days trying to find an apartment. Couldn't find anything. It was the most depressing, you know, 10 days ever. Just being very frustrated that you can't find a decent place.
Right.
Finally moved forward and, you know, flew back to Miami, packed 2 suitcases, flew back the following day. And then I lived in a hotel for 7 months.
Oh, my God.
When I lived in a hotel for 7 months on 34th and 8th in the New Yorker Hotel while I was going to school. So that was pretty interesting.
But let me tell you, let me ask you something. So when a lot of times opportunities present themselves to people, but we're not always ready to take it. because it takes some risk, and it takes, kind of stepping into the unknown. So you get this call from this culinary school and say, okay, you got to move up here in 11 days. Was there any trepidation? Was there any, kind of like hesitation, or were you just like, yeah, I'm in?
Yeah, very nervous, a little anxiety, freaking out. What do I do? There's no backbone up there. Growing up in the Hispanic community here in Miami, Florida, your family is what you have, and your family is what helps you make who you are. Up there, everybody's on, it's a free for all. Everybody's up on their own. And one of my best friends told me, step out of your comfort zone. And I think the second he said that, I just clicked enter and accepted a loan. And that's it. Once you accept a loan, you're in. So
yeah,
I accepted the loan and took off. And it really didn't hit me till I'll never forget, I was sitting on the actual window side of the plane, on the right side of the plane. And if you've been to the Northeast, New York, Chicago, wherever, you notice that you take off MIA, flies towards east, towards the water, and then it dips left and then starts heading north. And then when that plane balances back out, you're just looking at nothing but ocean. And I remember when that balanced back out, I was like, oh man, I did this. Like, oh man, this is gonna be nuts.
There's no turning back now.
There's no turning back at that point. So, and then, you get there with a little hesitation, and New York is a very, cutthroat place where you're walking on the sidewalk and everybody's walking faster than you. Get out of my way. I got stuff to do. I'm moving. I got too little time in the day to do what I need to do. So, that was also a spark, and it really catapulted me into the right direction, mindset wise. And of course, it was more difficult to make the decision when I was 18. At 27, I had no time to waste. So I knew I had to pay my dues in order to be where I wanted to be. And, going to New York was the first step in that process.
What is it about cooking that you're so passionate about?
For me, it's the never-ending, learning process. It's the fact that you can sit there, create the best dish in the back of your mind that somebody could come across and squirt a lime on it, and it elevates that dish. You never stop learning. So
it's a bit of like the artistry, the creativity.
Correct.
Is that there's no ending.
There's no limit. There's
what
no
you can
limit.
do.
You can do whatever you want. You could do stuff that people haven't done before. I love knowing that, that's very cool to me. So.
And what's interesting though is that you had a finance degree. So a lot of, I guess, chefs don't have a finance degree, I would assume. And so that gives you a bit of an advantage in terms of building a business around being a chef, right?
Correct. Yeah. There's a lot of fundamentals that you get from, the best way I can put it is you can be the best chef in the world. You could be the best lawyer in the world. You could be the best attorney in the world. But that doesn't necessarily mean you know how to run your own business.
Exactly.
And with a finance degree, that really gave me, a backbone and a good understanding. Okay, so in order to make a profitable kitchen, this is how it works. So.
Interesting. And so, all right, so you get to school, and you're there for how long?
So I was in school. It was a 1.5-year program, but I crammed it into 7 months because, again, I was 28 and didn't have any time to lose. Went up there with a purpose. I wanted to work for one chef and one chef only. That was Alfred Portali at Gotham Bar Grill. And showed up there right after culinary school, knocked on their door. It was snowing that day. The executive chef, didn't open the door. I had to stand outside for a solid 5 hours in the snow.
What?
Finally, they saw me shivering outside and said, "Get that kid in here." He's
really
serious.
You stood outside the restaurant for 5 hours?
Yeah. So, yeah, it was pretty
That's
intense.
insane.
And I walk in and, I say, "Hey, I want to work here." And they're like, "There's absolutely no way. You have no experience." I said, "Look, I'll work for free."
And they're saying like you and 500 other people want to work here. So,
of course, there was a long line outside.
So you had to figure out how to stand out, right? And so standing outside it, I think, is one of those ways, right? For 5 hours in the snow.
Yeah, those type of kitchens where they're, that was one of the top 25 restaurants in the world since the day it opened.
Wow.
That one had 40, 50 guys dying to work in that kitchen. You know what I mean? And who am I? So I showed up and I said, "Look, I'll work for free." So they had me peeling chickpeas out of their pods. Now, if you've ever grabbed a chickpea other than out of a can of Goya, you know that they're rock hard like a marble. So I had to take my fingers and make sure that, just go through the motions of actually pulling these chickpeas out. And then I would do, a case a day, and each case had about, my guess was around 5,000 pods times three
Oh my God.
chickpeas in each pod. So, you know, I used to pray to God, honestly. Like, I used to pray, please, Lord, let that truck have blown a tire. Let me do something other than pull chickpeas out. So I did that for about 5 months.
Wow.
And then the chef.
So hold on a second. So you get a loan to go to culinary school, and then you get to, you finally make it into this restaurant, but you got to do the worst job that you can possibly do for 5 months. And were you ever saying, did you ever wake up one morning and just say, this is just, I mean, this is crazy. This is not worth it. I'm going to go home.
Of course, there's always times where you doubt yourself, and it's kind of what they teach you growing up. It's not how not how you fall off the horse, how you get back on, and the doubt's always going to be there no matter what you do in life. And, just got to push forward and know that you're serious about your end goal, even if it means not getting paid for, 2 years until you can actually make $30,000 a year, which, as we know, is nothing,
Wow. Especially in New York.
Yeah. So it takes a long time. I always give the example, when you become a chef, you start off and you don't get paid. And that's a nice little barrier. But then you finally get paid, and it makes you appreciate money a little bit more because you've already gone through the process of not getting paid. So you become a line cook and you work 40 hours a week, you still get paid crappy. Then you get moved up, you finally get your name on your jacket, and now you're a sous chef. You work 90 hours a week and you still get paid crappy.
But you have the name on your chest, at least.
that sous chef level is what kind of distinguishes who's moving forward and who's moving back, who's more comfortable working for an hourly wage, and who doesn't want the responsibility, and going backwards, and who wants the responsibility to run their own kitchen, and that then becoming an executive chef. Executive chefs work on 110, 120 hour weeks. They get paid a lot better. But still, it's you put your whole life on hold in order.
It's hard work, yeah.
Get to where you want to be, and as you know, in any business, in order to open your own business, it takes a lot of time and sacrifice. So,
wow. So you stayed there for 5 months, and then what?
And then they offered me a raise, and I looked at them very confused. I said, "I'm not even getting paid." They said, "Now you can wash mushrooms." So washing mushrooms meant, literally washing them 3 or 4 times, but the mushrooms are this big and you have to peel the stem with a little knife. So that was quite tedious as well. And then I did that for about a month and a half, and then boom, they moved me on the line and I started making onion rings. Not onion rings like
slow process,
but it's definitely a game changer, because you go and you're standing on a line with these guys that have. Some of these guys were working for Chef Alfred Portali for 20 years since it opened.
Wow.
25 years. And you can't achieve something like that and keep an employee that long if you're not incredibly, driven and motivated and
dedicated.
have the same end goal with these guys. So we want to create the best restaurant in the world, and we're going to do everything in our power to do that. And it becomes a team effort, but that it all starts from the leadership that you give them. So,
and I'm sure you picked up a lot from just being in the environment, right? Kind of being in that culture and getting your foot in the door. I think a lot of people, when they start off a new job, they start off low, but they start off in a great company. They already have a foot in the door because you are always learning just by observing everyone else, right?
Correct.
Cool.
Then I was there in Gotham Bar Grill, and then once my stint there was up, I got invited by a very well-known chef in Chicago / New York City. He asked me to go open up BLT Bistro of Laurence Torrendale, and that was in the financial district down in, down by Wall Street. So right behind the World Trade Center towers, and went there and opened up BLT. I was there for a year and a half, and then the corporate executive chef from there asked me to be his sous chef. This is only 2 years into, a year and 8 months into being out of culinary school. So to be asked to be a sous chef that quickly was a huge honor for me.
Yeah, that's
and
amazing.
Then I went backwards, although going forwards, I went backwards and worked for free for him for about another 6-7 months. He was a celebrity chef, had his own show on TLC, had his own show on the Food Network.
Wow.
Chef Rodelio Aglibot, rest in peace. And he really influenced me in my moving forward in my thought process.
How did you feed yourself if you weren't making any money? How'd you survive?
So in the restaurant game, there's something called family meal, which is very, very cool. I don't see it done many places down here. I see it more in Chicago, New York, where you're in a restaurant for 14, 15 hours and you all take a moment, take half hour. Everybody, there's one guy from Puerto Rico, one guy that's Mexican, there's me that's Cuban, there's another guy that's Italian. And every day, each one of us takes on the duty of, I'll cook for everybody. So you make this big batches of food and everybody sits on the stairs because most of these restaurants are in basements. So you sit on the stairs and you're sitting with the servers and everybody's eating and you're all kind of getting ready, getting into the game plan for the dinner service because these restaurants are turning 400, 500, 600 people in one night. So
wow,
it's definitely everybody on the same page type of deal.
Nice. So, and then from there, you went to where?
And then after that, I moved from New York City to Chicago, opened up Earth and Ocean, which was a 250-seat restaurant. That was very challenging, very crazy busy. And then after that, we got a gig to open up a restaurant freelance, and I moved to Hong Kong. So I was there for 9 months, opened up a restaurant out there. Very, very cool, super different culture shock.
Yeah.
Major city, and then came back to Chicago. I was there for about 2 months, and then I moved and I went to be the chef at the Ritz-Carlton Bachelor Gulch in Beaver Creek, Colorado. It's the largest log cabin in North America. Very, very cool. That was incredibly crazy. So this is where more of the doubts come in.
Oh, interesting.
What I mean by crazy, it's because we were doing 800 people for breakfast, 1,800 for lunch, and 900 for dinner.
Good Lord.
Yeah, it was nuts. So find yourself in a parking garage crying to yourself sometimes.
Like a bit overwhelmed, you think?
All my family is not here where you're normally used to relying on your family.
Yeah.
And then it goes back to my father, which was my biggest influence, and he he's a physician, and he went to Santo Domingo, and leaving a Cuban family back in the 70s is almost unheard of. So he went over there and did his his medical residency, and he kept telling me, man, everybody kept telling me I'll never make it. And that was the drive that you need. It's you feed off the negative energy. So,
and when you're in that, you seem to be constantly pushing the envelope, right? And you've taken on that point of pushing out of your comfort zone. You've been pushing the envelope for every opportunity you get. So now you're in this insane environment where you're feeding thousands of people a day. Did you feel like an imposter sometimes, seeing like, I shouldn't be here? Like, this
absolutely.
This is, I'm not ready for this.
Absolutely. You feel like you're most comfortable around your own kind. And what I mean by that is like around the Hispanic community. And out there's no Hispanics. So you can't say, hey, como andas? You can't. And that also, when you wake up and you see somebody that you relate to, totally different ballgame than just a bunch of people that are getting their butts kicked every single day, and they're just miserable out there. I'm not going to categorize everybody as miserable, but at least the majority of the people that were out there were just, oh my God, today's another day. It's going to be crazy busy. And everybody that goes out there, ski in, ski out resort, is how quickly can I get my food? Because I want to get back on the mountain. And it's just, it's very nerve wracking. It's very, I got out there, and the most stressful part for me was the fact that the kitchen that we had was 2 floors down because it's in a massive log cabin. I love the snow. I love the cold. I guess it's just seeing seasons change, which is super cool in my eyes. After that, I said, the heck with this, and I moved to Hawaii. Now I moved to Hawaii, and I actually did a tasting for the Four Seasons Resort on a tiny island called Lana'i. All right. So imagine New York, Chicago, Hong Kong, right?
Hawaii.
Then you go to population 2,700.
Wow.
Tiny islands where 800 are elderly and 800 are children. So you're really only interacting with like 800 people. You're barefoot everywhere. And that was really
Interesting.
cool because I actually got one of the chef job at Nobu out there. I was one of the chefs out there, and it was cool because, again, most of the other jobs I had served breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This is the first place where I got to that it was only dinner service. So there was no breakfast or lunch. So I would wake up at 9 o'clock, 9:30 in the morning, and then had to decide, should I play golf before work? Should I go spearfishing?
Yeah, not a bad life.
Surfing, it was always something cool to do before work. And then that goes, your quality of life obviously goes up.
Right.
And I was there for a year and a half. Larry Ellison buys the island, the owner of Oracle. He buys the island to make it his own self-sustaining island, and obviously said, you're going to keep your salary, but you're not going to just sit around and do nothing. You got to do beach cleanup or paint schools. And I was like, that ain't for me. Again, my ambition has always superseded my talent. So I always strive better no matter what I do. And I moved back to Miami, and I was, I didn't want to come back to Miami, but it was either moving to like Madrid and, getting a busboy job and like just keep on experiencing life out there, or come to Miami and be with my family. And that's what I did. And I had a drive, and I opened up. That's where I first started working for Makoto, and then worked for Makoto for close to a year. And then the opportunity arose where I can open up my own restaurant. And that's where everything just kind of took off for me. I opened up a poke bow in Coral Gables, and was there for about 4.5 years. And everything was, awesome. It was awesome, busy, quite challenging with the Miami workforce, totally different than what I'm used to.
Right.
And, it was so intense, it was awesome. But, the labor force down here is very, very different. So you have to always look at the glass half full. So, with that being said, City of Coral Gables changed their code on me. And they said, basically, if you have a restaurant or a building that's 40 years or older, which almost all of them are, you have to redo your green initiative. And that green initiative required me to redo my grease trap. And the grease trap was, $65,000, $70,000 job, which I did not have the money for. And I said, the heck with this. Was able to sell the restaurant 1 week before COVID. And,
Oh my gosh, good timing.
So, yeah, it was intense. So, I'm actually it's really cool to be on this, this podcast, Game Changers, because that was a game changer for me. That was, oh man, what do I do now? Am I going to go back to working in a restaurant? Am I going to go back to, because you can go back to working in a restaurant, but you're not going to make a whole lot of money. You can go back to work in a hotel, but you're going to make a lot of money, but you're not going to be cooking. You're just going to be doing more of the finance part. It's running different outlets in a hotel, stuff like that. And I said I didn't want to do that. And then, I did one of the things that scared me the most in life. And, if you don't do things in life that scare you, you're not moving forward towards your goal. I put my face on a logo, and that to me was one of the scariest things ever, because if you flop, you go down with that face.
Yeah, your name is on there, yeah.
If you succeed, then man, that was the best thing I could have ever done. So I did that. I took, I took out government loan back in March of last year. Stayed afloat for a couple months. Zero income from March till May, June, July, and then boom, everything took off for me. It just took off for me, man. It was the coolest thing ever. I had the carte blanche to do whatever I want on a menu. There was no more limitations. The A-list of high-end people goes on and on right now. Right now, I'm booked till almost February of next year. It's so crazy.
Wow.
And then,
and so how did you, do you attribute the fact that, you owned Poke Bow and you had so many clients and, people getting to know you, do you attribute that to your ability to get great clients and all this demand, or what did you do?
Honestly, I've never been a social media guy. Don't know much about it. Don't even know how to navigate around it, to be honest. And then, I was told, my girlfriend at the time, my girlfriend told me straight up, she said, look, nobody wants to see your new shoes or your watch or anything like that. You're a chef. They want to see your food. So I turned around and I posted one picture of some food. And then boom, I got a DM. Hey, can you, I want to hire you. And then I posted the pictures of that dinner, and then 3 more came in. And then pictures of those dinners, and 10 more came in. The next thing you know, you're getting a call from, these crazy celebrities, and it's like, oh man, this is like one of the coolest things ever. Now I have regular clientele, and this is the end goal for a chef. You're working for yourself, and you have regular high-end customers that tell you, don't tell me a menu, do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's amazing, right?
Going into a restaurant every day and doing the same thing is why it's so frustrating. Being able to put your face and your name on something and doing whatever you want is the coolest feeling on the planet, man. I gotta be honest with you.
Yeah, because you're an artist and you're expressing that in the context of whatever dinner party you're hosting, and you're creating something for them, right? And you have the entire menu open, right? You can just be as creative as you want so that they can have this amazing experience.
Right.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. And during it was last January, so January of 2020, I was approached by Diego Londoño, my now buddy and business partner. I was approached by him, and he asked me, hey man, I want to open up a coffee shop on Ponce. And I said, sure. Why coffee? And he said, my family's owned coffee for the last 150 years.
Wow.
In Pereira, Santa Rosa, Colombia. And I said, sure, let's go out there. Let's take a look at it. Let me look at the tree. Let me touch it. Let me feel it. Let me get inspired. And this is where the whole backstory of the barrel comes about. I go out there. I guess he had told, the people on the farm and his family members, hey, man, I have a chef coming with me. Make sure there's some food. So I get there, and there's some pork being cooked. I smell it. I'm like, man, this smells awesome. It's when I tasted it that blew my mind. I was like, holy moly. Like, I don't understand why this tastes this way. And as a chef, that is like the coolest thing on the planet. Why does it taste this way? So, I asked them, they're like, look, they're cooking with the actual coffee tree. I said, okay. And then I looked to my left and my right, and there's these mounds and mounds and mounds of wood everywhere. And I'm like, so hold on a second. They said the tree only grows the fruit for 6 years. After that, we have to cut down the tree. And it's basically, I go, so why do you have all this wood? He goes, my uncle likes to make furniture out of it. So that light bulb went off. I was like, wait, wow, this tastes like the earth. You know what I mean? It's a flavor I've never tasted before. So you mean to tell me that there's mesquite, there's hickory, there's cherry wood, there's applewood, there's pecan, there's walnut, all these types of smoking woods, to flavor foods
around coffee trees. Wood?
Immediately, I pulled out my phone and I Googled it. No coffee wood in the United States. I said, we need to start, let's go buy a wood chipper. We literally got the wood chipper that night, chopped up a bunch of trees, and then we threw the wood chips on this charcoal, this hardwood lump charcoal that they had out there, and we smoked a bunch of pork belly, and we were blown away to the point where we got a great idea here.
Wow.
And then I saw a very, typical South American style of cooking, which is, they cook in like these big circumference, pits and barrels and stuff like that where they hang the meat.
Yep.
And I just said, this is super cool. We can totally do something like this. And, that was our passion project during COVID. We created the barrel, we designed and created the barrel, and it was the coolest thing. And now we just got it in about 4 weeks ago here in Miami. We competed in South Beach Food and Wine. We competed in Carnival on the Mile. We've competed in a bunch of different whole hog pig roast cook-offs, and it's very, very cool.
So kind of describe it to me so people can kind of get an understanding of what it is.
Cool. So yeah, the barrel is actually a 3-in-1. It's a grill, it's a roaster that mimics a convection oven, as well as turns into a smoker. So basically, you have your grill grates on the top where you can put a steak, and then you put the cover on top because naturally all the heat rises. So you can cook anything on top on the grill grate. Then you have the conversion into a roaster where you can hang the meat. And since the fire source is in the center, we have these two catch basins on the outside where we add moisture, predominantly water. You can add wine or whatever you want to put to flavor beer. But you put water, and then all the fat that drips from whatever you're cooking drips into the water, creating no flare up. So thus, just to give you an example, the type of cooking style is indirect cooking. So as a grill, which would be direct cooking, you put your steak on your grill at home, fat renders, creating a flare up. You turn it back, it's burnt. Whereas this is the case, everything's hanging around the outside of the fire. Thus, there are no flare-ups.
Wow.
And then it converts into a smoker, finally and foremost, by adding the coffee wood chips directly on the hardwood lump charcoal that we are also bringing in from Colombia. So you throw the wood chips right on it, and this thing smokes to the moon. It's super cool. Adds a crazy flavor to whatever you're cooking, and it's very, very cool.
Wow, I'm getting hungry right now, man, just listening to this. We need to go try this thing out. That's awesome. So where can people find out about the barrel?
So barrelthebbq.com is where you can check out all information, all YouTube channel, crazy stuff that we've been doing, crazy recipes, very, very cool, fun stuff.
Awesome,
really,
man.
This is to enhance your backyard. This isn't trying to take over any other grill that you have. This is a barbecue toy for barbecue fanatics, that people that love to try different things.
Exactly. So, that's an extra toy that's going to be a lot of fun for, I'm sure, a lot of guys down here in South Florida for sure.
Yeah.
And so check out his Instagram site. You can see all the pictures of that amazing food and some of the dinner parties he's had. Obviously, very, very well connected in the South Florida community there, you can see. And, all A-list folks. So if you want to have him over for your next shindig, especially New Year's, or you're probably booked around there. So maybe early springtime, check him out at chefdanielbouza.com. Any final words, my brother, before we roll out here?
Honestly, I just tell, anybody out there watching this that's trying to get motivated or inspired, keep chasing your dream and keep moving forward, and, take all that negative energy, turn it into positive energy, and leave people in your dust, honestly.
So, I love it.
That's what I would honestly say.
All right, my brother. All right, guys, and make sure to hit subscribe on this button here, and we'll catch you next week with another Game Changer. Thanks, Daniel, for being on, buddy.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Sergio.
If you loved what you heard in today's episode of Game Changers, please subscribe and rate us. The lessons and the stories in these podcasts are immensely valuable, so I invite you to share them with a friend who needs to hear it. You may end up being the game changer in their lives.